Somebody left the window open. I'm very susceptible to mosquitoes. Yes. I saw an article just yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read it, but basically it was something about like what smells or tastes mosquitoes like in people, and whatever they are, they like me. I definitely taste good. Alright. Mosquitoes like me and I don't like them. So don't leave the door open. What's up, everybody? Waiting for my mosquito bite to... Yep. Oof. It itches like unbelievably. I have to take a freaking Benadryl sometimes. Yesterday, like this mosquito bite, it was like the size of a $50 on my leg. Allergic to mosquito bites. Alright, what's up, everybody? Don't leave your door open so the mosquito vulnerable can be attacked by mosquitoes. Remember to think of other people who are more delicious than yourself. So what's up, everybody? We're gonna be trying to go to Sicily in October, end of October, beginning of November. So please support the stream and donate to support our World Senior Fundraiser. World Senior Fundraiser. We've got 130 something days left. Man, that really itches. God damn it. Leaving the door open. I can't see any mosquitoes here. I think they got me. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. There it is. Holy shit, he's over there. Mosquito murder on screen. Damn it. I think he got away. Son of a bitch. He got behind the rug. We had a lot of rain. We were really good, man. We were really good. We had no rain for a long time, and it was very dry, and there were no mosquitoes at all. But this last week, I don't think I got him. But I don't know where he went. I think with like white walls, I'll be able to see him. Damn it. Alright. Murder on stream. What's that up there? Okay. Murder your mosquitoes here live. I've heard that beer is a good cure for mosquitoes. Man, that was good. This is my first bite all day. Haven't had a bite all day. Alright, so white anonymous player, no. ABC is first. Big dummy, masturbate an anonymous player. Your name has to start with an A or a B. Yeah, game analysis stream, guys. I'm getting a challenge here from Virtur, but we're not playing. We're just analyzing subscriber games. Why is Canada trying to kill us? It's global warming, bro. It's like the movie, what's that movie? Interstellar? The whole planet is like dust and smoke, and we have to find another planet to live on. This is just the beginning, Mr. Coffee. Don't blame it on Canada. It's not really their fault. All right. But enjoy your air quality. So welcome everybody to our live stream. International Master William Pascal. We are doing game analysis of subscriber games. Otherwise, if you're not a subscriber, you can bribe me to analyze your games. Subscribers are free. That's pretty funny, anonymous player. No more mosquito jokes. Okay, guys, let's start with game one. ABCFIGM playing white against Rhinelo. This game is 10 plus 3. No, 300 plus 3. 300. 300 divided by 60 is 5 plus 3. Okay, it's a 5 plus 3 blitz game. ABCFIGM plays E4, C5, knight f3, knight to C6, D4. Oh my god. You guys know that I personally don't approve of the Mora Gambit. Astrobate just subscribed to tier 1. Dude, I thought you just subscribed to tier 3. Don't, Astrobate subscribed to tier 1, tier 3, and tier 1 again. Wait, it didn't work. I had to go with tier 1. What, you just did tier 3 the other day? That was a quick subscription. Your tier 3 didn't work? It said it did. Dude, but you already subscribed. Didn't the tier 3 go through? So, you know, I don't like the Mora Gambit, but I'll tolerate analyzing it. Delayed Mora Gambit, actually, this might even be like a little less accurate than playing it right away. Can black play like D5 or something? Knight F6. Knight F6 is a C3 Sicilian. So there doesn't seem to be any special way to decline this. I mean, you could do some crazy Queen A5. I think I've looked at this before. But it's probably not that good. Tamara. Okay, whatever. We're playing the Mora Gambit. Okay. Knight takes C3. E6. Just because I dislike Mark Esterman isn't the reason I don't like the Mora Gambit. You know, these are two separate things. The Mora Gambit, it's a great opening for like players, I would say up until 2000, maybe 2100. But honestly, I think at some point you have to progress beyond this. ABC FIGM is too good to be continuing to play the Mora Gambit. Like, you need to graduate into playing something real at this point. You know, you've graduated from kindergarten. You know, it's time to stop playing the Mora Gambit. Play the Open Sicilian if you want to play something sharp. Otherwise, alternatives include the Rossolimo or the C3 Sicilian. Maybe if you're a Mora Gambit player and you want to graduate, start with the C3 Sicilian, which is part of the Mora Gambit repertoire anyway. But I don't approve the Mora Gambit for stronger players. I think it's a waste of the white pieces. Black has a lot of ways to equalize. Anyway, lecture over. Bishop C4. Now, your opponent played knight on G to E7. Knight on G to E7, is that a legitimate variation? Let me turn off the opening book for a second here. Is this a real variation? Looks like something Kamsky would do. You could play the Morgana for the rest of your life like Mark Esserman if you want to, but I think, objectively it's a waste of the white pieces, and you should play something serious, This is knight b5, mate in 1, d5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. This is not a pawn I really want to grab with white. I'm just speculating about this. This sort of thing. The white would be a pawn up here. Knight on gd7 though. I mean, is there any way to play this? For example, knight here, knight d6 check, king e7. No, we don't want to do that. Takes, takes. I think, the Mora Gambit is a good intermediate opening beyond total beginner. And then you need to stop playing it around 2000. What about this move? I mean, is this... So normally black plays a6 if he wants to play knight on g to e7. What I'm asking is, is this actually refutable? Well, there's also bishop f4. Bishop f4. Again, black can sacrifice back a pawn or play knight to g6 when you probably go here, and black could actually play d6. So you did a different plan, which is usual in other variations with bishop g5. I mean, this is definitely not a bad move. But I do want to check the opening explorer. So there's something wrong with knight b5. Someone played this against Seba, I tell a friend of mine. And after knight g6, what happened? Wait, they didn't check on d6. They just castled. That seems sort of weird. Christopher Yu versus Paradise Panza. So that's got to be like some stupid chess.com tournament. Online blitz bullshit. But why not check? I don't understand why this isn't like compensation for pawn. I mean, it's close. I don't think knight b5 is that bad. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. It's playable, but it's not convincing. Bishop f4 is definitely a move. Now knight to g6. Horvath Imre, who I don't know. Bishop g3. And now a6, stopping knight b5. That makes sense. h4. And then black has the e5 square. So d6, h5, knight g e5. And capturing on e5 is probably like not good for white. Again, white has some compensation, but probably not enough. So it looks like your move may be the best. But at the same time, it probably like transposes to a main line. Yeah, here's a Palkoki game from 1997. Okay, this happened in Shaba. Shaba beat you know who. It's hard to believe Esterman was 2257 in 2008. I don't know how he got higher rated. Now he just lives in his mom's basement or whatever. Okay, whatever. What did Shaba do? Shaba played f6. Allowed Dlugi. Well, if he's not banned from Lichess, I don't see how you have a choice. Rumors of Dlugie's being a cheater are probably true, but you know, if you're not banned on this site, you know, if there's no agreement between like Lichess and Chess.com about like, you know, banning players. They had this issue with poker a lot, Shlagi, where like players would be banned on one site and then there was some question whether they should be like banned on some kind of master list, but of course, the guy's such a scumbag. I don't want to even hear about it. It's just totally unsurprising that he would want to try to qualify. He just seems to want to be relevant. I would be ashamed if I were him, but whatever. He's been cheating on sites for a long time. Probably cheated on chess, on ICC as well. Although, cheating or not, Dlugie was a phenomenal blitz player. And very, very strong. But he's extremely way older now. You know, I don't believe he's got the blitz strength that he had like 20 years ago, you know, or more. He was at one point one of the strongest blitz players in the United States. He's not a total faker, you know, but at the same time I wouldn't trust him. But we're not here for rumors and conjecture. This is an analysis stream. Bishop g5, f6, and then bishop e3. Because we don't want to lose any more tempi. d5's covered 3 times. And we don't want to lose the tempo with like bishop f4 or bishop h4. So I think that from the games that I've seen other people play in these types of lines, f6 has got to be an inaccuracy. Well, no, it's not an inaccuracy. There are only like a couple ways you can play. The fact that Shaba played it, you know, and won, and Ratchik played it and won, I mean, I think it's not a bad move. I guess one question is h6, and the other question is a6, which lost 2 games. No, I don't think f6 is an inaccuracy. Don't believe so. It's often necessary in these type of variations. Black doesn't want to have to play g5. If you play h6, you often have to play g5. This is a huge threat in some positions. If knight b5 here, unfortunately there's like a check, which I don't really want to allow. So knight g6. No, I don't think this is bad, although I would play a6. I don't think there's any advantage, and if you want to say something's an inaccuracy, then, you know, say knight on ge7 is an inaccuracy. That would be, because there's nothing wrong with a6. a6 is a good line for black, and it's probably like the best line. But I think at this point you don't have a lot of choices. Now we transpose, and now you're supposed to play knight d4 at some point. So the point is for white to play f4, f5. The other plan, you know, would be to do like h4, h5. But I don't think that's that effective here. I mean, the knight's just going to get chased to e5. What we want to do is knight d4 followed by f4. So here, ABCGM played the classic Mora, you know, queen e2. But I guess pawns are the soul of chess, right? So our plan should be based on this pawn advance. This looks like a reasonable move. That's how Esterman managed to beat, you know, who. Although, you know, I don't think white is better. I mean, this looks like a main line. Bishop b3 is definitely reasonable. Knight d4 is definitely reasonable. Mladen Zelic is a Serbian FM who's like only plays the Mora. No, you got to do this, man. I mean, playing for f4 is the only active plan. Let's see, takes. Maybe queen takes to develop a piece. b5, bishop b3. Let's say bishop b7. Now f4. Rook c8. Threatening bishop c5. The first game in the list is correspondence. This is a real OTB game. Win Trunkson with black. Another real game. Another real game. Queen a7 attacking the bishop. I would trust this correspondence game though. They're both using engines, although it's back in 2006. Okay, chances for both sides, but that's probably your best shot. I'm not sure that queen e2 is that good. But obviously you're opening up the rooks. Can black use the f4 square? I mean, what if queen c7 and like knight f4? You can always like play g3. Do you really want to do that? Sometimes g3 is a good move to play for h4, h5, but I think here black's going to go knight e5. So I think the big question is like, is there, you know, do you really have the time to make this move? And white didn't win any games here. Although the problem with this list is that all the players with black are good players, and that's why the Mora's like results suck. If you look at the statistics with the Mora Gambit, it's like losing for white. Because good players don't play it for white. Like look at this list. Grandmaster, Grandmaster, Strong IM, Grandmaster, 2400, you know, 2300. The average rating of black is much higher than the average rating of white here, and that's just like 6 games. So you can't judge the Mora by its practical results, because the good players don't play it with white, just bad ones, and mostly the players playing black are strong. Realistically, the Mora equalizes. It's not a losing opening, it's like equal. Alright, b5, probably best. And now queen c7. I'm not sure black has time for this. That doesn't seem right to me. I mean, okay, he's gonna see this threat of bishop takes c6 soon. Knight a5. Black is 4-0. You have to give up this bishop. Another player who plays Mora Gambit is the Turkish-Swedish guy. Sometimes I raid his stream, Dennis Arman. He knows what he's doing. I mean, I've seen him play some games. It's something like this. You might have to give this up, you know, just to mobilize the attack here at some point. Queen c7, rook c1. And now black. Yeah, I don't know about queen c7. That's a little slow. I mean, you could have played knight f4. When you do take and this. I don't think you can do that. Probably have to move your queen. Knight f4 is sort of dubious. I think queen c7 is dubious though. I mean, what's the point of playing queen c7? What's the point of b5 with queen c7? Seriously, to put the queen on b7, that's pretty weird. That's where your bishop needs to go. So now you sacrifice piece. Wow. I don't know if that works or not. I mean, it's obviously a classic sacrifice, but first of all, we're not really threatening anything Except for like knight b6. We're not threatening anything devastating with knight d5. So I was hoping that maybe white had something more like long-term plan style. Again, knight d4 with the idea of f4, f5. Is it too slow? I don't know. I mean, I kind of like this. We just take, and our plan is f4. Maybe black has some sort of defense. Although this is still a thing. But like, for example, knight f4, that would be kind of annoying. It's possible black can survive. But I don't know, knight d5 is interesting. I don't know if it's the best. I would just ignore it. Okay, taking may be good. Let's see. Takes. Obviously you could play bishop takes d5 and his king is trapped in the center. You know, I'll be honest, I think like white has compensation here. You're what? A full piece down? But black has no way to castle. It doesn't look easy for black here, man. I mean, you're threatening knight to d4. I don't think I would take that, the knight on d5. I think he should try to avoid it. Like maybe this. Bishop d6. If here, he can probably just try to play rook b8. I admit this is looking pretty ugly. But again, it's not 100% clear. I assume this is good for white, though. Can he try to not take that knight? Have a bishop e7 with the idea of bishop d8. Then he can castle. If you take his knight, you lose a valuable attacking piece. I mean, still you have tremendous compensation. So now the question is this good enough? You have d5. First take, and then d6. I mean, this is a serious problem. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you really have to point the finger at queen c7. This move, it's just like a luxury that black can't afford. And if anything, watch. Why put the queen on b7 when you can put it on b8? Wouldn't b8 be better? I guess the point is, like, here it's kind of awkward, because if you get this, now here, and then knight b6, there's no good that can come of queen c7 in this kind of position. Yeah. So that's where he really got in trouble. And I guess after d6 he's lost. Maybe black can try queen e4. The only move I can think of. How bad is this? Queen e4, rook d1, bishop b7. Queen e4, f3. f3, white's winning. Other than that, I don't have a great suggestion. Knight h4, threatening mate in 1. You have this. But honestly, I wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice my queen back. Try to survive Although this ending looks pretty bad for black, I think he can survive. You don't want to let him like sacrifice that piece back. So knight h4, you have check. Okay. Yep. No knight h4, no knight f4, no moving the king. King here is like suicide. So he's totally lost. Yeah. Takes the pawn. Okay. Oof. And that's really nice. So he has rook f8 now, queen e4. Why doesn't he play rook f8? I'll just answer my own question. Supposedly queen e4. That's kind of a problem. Either way, it's a problem. Alright, yeah, that's just... Yeah, that's good. Asterbait just donated $7. Where is it? Where is it, Asterbait? You donated $7 to the other... It's not showing up in the fund. Oh, there it is. Asterbait just tipped $7. Go first class. I would love to go first class. We're up to $30. But Asterbait and Mr. Coffee can't do it on their own. We're going to need further support. Thank you guys for tuning in. World Senior Donation Fund for Sicily, October, November 2023. We're up to $30. We have 140 approximate days to raise the money for the trip. I appreciate it. Asterbait, thank you, $7 very generously. Alright, Big Dummy's up next. This is game 2. Do we have any other games? Any other games that I've forgotten? Arsenal's never here anymore. You donated $7 twice? That'd be even better. I should get more people with dementia donating to my stream. I don't know how much money my mom like donated to Donald Trump when she had dementia. Probably a lot. Before I realized. Most of Donald Trump's presidential campaigns are funded by seniors with dementia. Alright. We've got 2300 with white against Big Dummy. Knight f3, knight f6, and now d4. We're gonna pray that Big Dummy didn't submit a London system. You did that? Why would you do that? Well, you beat a 2300, but they played the London system. Alright. I don't personally like to play classically, but, you know, I've been experimenting with Queen's Gambit Accepted and stuff. If I were to play for the Queen's Gambit Accepted, I would play this. So I could find myself in this position. Or if you get the move order like d4, d5, if white plays knight f3, now this is kind of risky. So normally if I would play for the Queen's Gambit Accepted, I would play knight f6 and white could play this disgusting move. And now, I mean, in the past I used to play a lot of g6. I've also played c5, which is like a main line. Never been one to play I've never been one to play the Slav type of setups. The only thing worse than the London system is like a symmetrical London system. So Big Dummy played e6. Now this move, sorry, he played e6. This move is tricky because I think there's a tendency for players to play passively with this. You know, I think if you play e6, you've got to play accurately, not to just get into a sort of passive position where you're you know, your bishop is blocked in on c8. I mean, obviously black could play bishop f5, but anyone who knows the proper way of playing the London system will transpose to whatever this is called, like a symmetrical London system with c4, or, you know, make you play the London system. After c4, c6, it's like black who's playing the London system. Actually, the best move is, I think, e6. I had a student who played this stuff. She was kind of autistic, didn't really listen or she didn't really get it when I tried to tell her that the London system isn't good. So I didn't try to force her to stop playing it. But I get another opening that I think is good for beginners, but not for advanced players. I think Big Dummy is good enough that he's not going to be playing the London system. All right, c3. Now this is really, really passive. So we're happy to see this. Happy. We're always happy to see c3 because it's essentially a passive move. White is playing the Caro-Kann with the white pieces, and you know. I did that once against Proashka, where I transposed to the London unintentionally. I realized after playing c3 on the first move that after like 3 or 4 moves, I really couldn't think of anything better than to transpose to the London system. If you play the Saragossa opening, like 1c3, and black plays d5, you're sitting there and you're like, I guess I can't really do anything better than like just d4, and then you're like, well, my bishop's best square is probably f4. And so you end up playing like a passive London system. And then you realize you're playing the Caro-Kann with the white pieces, which isn't that bad, you know, it's like equal. But not an inspiring choice. So we've got one Smith-Morra and another London system. You guys better stop this. So now black plays c5. This is a good move, but I'm a little concerned that we could head down the path to the you could head down the path to the kind of like mainline London system, which is actually okay for white. There is this, but you know, it's important to note that white can't choose to play c4 anymore. So the other move that I would consider here for black would be bishop e7. Vasily Smyslov. Wow. Alright, where's Mr. Coffee? What's today's chess trivia question? What do I have in common with Vasily Smyslov? Today's trivia question. What does Sladgie have in common with Vasily Smyslov? All right. I'll let you guys guess. We both beat Adolf in the London system. So bishop e7. I like bishop e7. The plan would be to castle and play b6. This is what I want to do. No c5 necessarily. The first priority is get the connection, get the radiation. We want to get our power radiating through e4. There is also the possibility of bishop a6, if you prefer. So notice that someone here played a4. Claudia Coulon. a4 is kind of tricky. If they play this, you can play bishop a6. Though it's not, you know, it's not mandatory or anything. Bishop e7 is fine. The important thing is to get good control of e4. as long as you have good control of e4, you can plunk a knight into e4 at some point. Keep the c-pawn back. Now knight e5. I don't know why white has such a good score in this position. It looks like a totally innocuous position. But c5 doesn't really have much point here. You got to challenge the knight on e5. So that's the first mistake. This doesn't make any sense. So knight here threatening knight takes e5. Now queen f3. If we take this puppy, Uneski Casada. White is better. d5, knight e7. Yeah, this looks like a problem. So you have knight h5 in this position. Wow. That's why a lot of people play h3. Interesting. Alright, e6, c3, c5, h3. h3 is a really strange move. By the way, one of the first things I did, I've always told the story, when I was playing the Caro-Kann was do this. Like the take, check, bishop d7, queen takes. Only to realize this is a really, really bad idea. That's when I was 1300 and I thought that material was really important. Lucky I didn't lose that game to the guy where I went to grab the pawn. Don't try to grab this sort of pawn. You're only going to get yourself in trouble. Yeah, so h3, it's just not necessary here. This bishop, look at him. Look at the mobility of this bishop, though. It's not getting trapped by knight h5. Why do we need to play h3? So you've played c3 and h3. Now black plays knight c6. I don't really have any other suggestions. Obviously you could play bishop d6. It's kind of uninspired. Bishop d7 doesn't seem particularly great. You can definitely play queen b6 here, if you're so inclined. Mechanically inclined. Probably going to go into this type of position. Alexandrov. Alright, knight c6, e3. And now I'm gonna what? Mr. Scott, have you got the teleporter working again? Because I'm not understanding what we're doing now. Transporter, sorry, the teleporter. Why would Big Dummy play h6? You play h6 to put the bishop on f5 and have a retreat square. h6 is a very bad move. It also makes it harder for you to play f6 if necessary to evict the strong outpost knight on e5 later on. This is definitely a very bad move, and there's no reason, there's every reason why you shouldn't play it. These guys played it, I don't know why, and it was in a different order of moves, and they both won because, yes, you guessed it, they were the higher rated players. I don't know, man. Can someone explain to me the reason for playing h6? In all seriousness? Why would Mirzoev, a 2493, and that Saibashvili guy, why would they play h6? What possible reason is for that? They're afraid of bishop g5? Was White gonna put his bishop on g5? Are you gonna play g5 with black? This is impossible. It's unbelievable. Wow. You both won the World Senior Chess Championship as of late 2023. No, we both beat Adolf on the black side of the London system. We both beat the Austrian Adolf. I wonder if he was as pissy with Smyslov as he was with me. It was like round 2 or round 3 of the Vienna Open 1996. Smyslov beat him in 84, according to the database. It's an IM from Austria. I outplayed him like the whole game. He played horribly. He played like a Potzer. He like played the white side of London system, put his bishop on c4, got attacked by the d5 pawn, then he like tried to castle queenside and just got like annihilated. And then was like angry he lost after the game. It's not my fault your name is Adolf. Alright, so h6, very bad. I think queen b6 is safe. Probably Capablanca would play that. However, you have to deal with the good old queen b3. Equalish position. And if you're not so inclined, you can play bishop d6 with a totally equal game. Hikaru drew the 2390. Presumably that's another cheese con blitz game, where his opponent was probably cheating or something. But, you know, I wouldn't play this kind of setup. Honestly, Hikaru shouldn't play like this against the 2300. You're like begging for a draw. This is not the way you play with black if you want to win. You know, you play something more dynamic, like a kingside fianchetto, or this is like a solid way of playing against the London. h6 is really bad, and then the what? Bishop e2? This is absurd. Unnecessarily passive. Now bishop d6. I think it would be more justified for black to play bishop e7, because you could say, well, that's my good bishop, and that's like black's bad bishop. I wonder if Smyslov ever sang with Portish, because he's also a baritone. Alright, h6, bishop e2. I think Portish is like a bass baritone. Bishop d6, bishop takes d6, queen d6. It's embarrassing for white, you know, the h3 doesn't really matter now, but it's totally equal. I guess this move, bishop e2, might actually make sense if black's going to get to push e5. And now the second mistake by black. This is similar to my game with Prohashka, where I was white in the c3 opening. But obviously, Peter didn't play h6, and I don't know if I played h3 or not. But something happened like castle, castle, e5, and then I took on e5 and put pressure on the d5 pawn. So it was something like this, this, this. I'm just going to try to keep pressure on this pawn on d5, and it was a draw. White is solid in this Caro-Kann. But this is another mistake by black. C takes d4. You got a little bit of acerbate. Big Dummy is a good player, but he makes mistakes with pawns. I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't see any reason to make this exchange. First of all, this is extremely kind of grotesque for both sides, and this way, our only chance now is the minority attack on the queen side, which is actually quite hard to get moving. If we play like rook b8, a4, it's hard to get b5 in, so you can't get the minority attack going. It's almost like your best plan is to break with e5 anyway. But why do that? Why not just castle or play e5? I think castle's first, and you're playing for e5. Only black can be a tiny bit better here. C takes d4 is a huge mistake, and now this is a mistake. Knight takes d4 just hands black a slight edge. Terrible move. It's literally the worst choice. Okay, maybe c takes is worse, but I would definitely take with the e pawn, and white is fine. Now a6. I guess this is a blitz game. White seems allergic to castling, because black might have a crushing attack with g5, or like, what are you thinking here? Rook c1. Hope chess. Hoping for knight takes d4. And now both sides refuse to castle for some reason. This is early. But I guess taking the rook off of a4. You still gotta wonder if a4 is an interesting idea for white. Not as interesting as it used to be. But how does black deal with that exactly? It's weird that neither side is castled, and they're starting like active operations here. So this is really potentially bad. Backward pawn here. Backward pressure on the c file. I guess white has some ideas. He's trying to keep this pawn at bay. He could play a4. Could transfer a knight into c5. But overall, b4 looks like an anti-positional move. Black plays e5. Takes. So now white just simply has a backward pawn on the c file. And black's a tiny bit better. Two outposts here and here. Stops a5. But black has a better game in the center. This way this bishop won't be attacked by anything other than g4, which would be radically weakening. And I think this knight is nice, but it doesn't really do anything. Or potentially white is threatening a4. I think the Portage lives in my district. I literally live like a block away from where he performed a month ago. If I just walk out my door and go down the block, he had played a concert at this like cultural house about 2 months ago. Yeah, this is a pretty boring game. And like black's a tiny bit better, I guess. But it's probably a dead draw. I guess Big Dummy just tried to find the boringest game he could find. Now, essentially, it's not enough advantage for either side to win with proper play. Both sides have a weakness that can be piled up on by the enemy. And that's what's happening here. I guess black has a little more space. I mean, maybe theoretically we could try to get some kind of kingside attack going on more easily with black. Really important idea here for white will be trying to gain counterplay with the break with a4. This is his only active plan in the position other than, well, e4, in fact. Actually, I shouldn't say it. So there's two breaks, a4 and e4. Black can pile up, possibly do a kingside attack with a pawn storm, which isn't very realistic, or play a5. a3 is weak. King f1 is very strange. There's a potential for this queen to get in here. Now f6. And then it's like queen takes d5 is a dead draw. Okay, not a dead draw, but look. Take, 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 check, take, and take. And it should be a draw. 100%. I don't know if Big Dummy's here, but this is probably the boringest game that we've ever had submitted. King f7, rook d c1. It's kind of hard to believe this guy is 2309 in any rating. Rook d c1. That's a good idea. And now he's centralizing his king. Here's the thing. You never centralize your king when there's 3 heavy pieces on the board for both sides. You can centralize your king when there's 1 heavy piece. In fact, you should. You should seriously consider centralizing your king when you have 2 heavy pieces on the board, but it can be dangerous. But I think we draw the line at 3 heavy pieces on the board. In most cases, it's not a good idea to centralize your king when there's a queen and both sets of rooks on the board. That's too many pieces. Difficult to understand how white is at 2300, and this is almost like he's trolling. It looks like he's trolling. He's like trolling. Okay. So he was smoking some sort of dope and then lost. Okay. I don't know, Big Dummy, like you really had to dig deep to find this game. Next, Asterbate. Alright. This is gonna be fun. This is what we all come here for. Where's Mr. Coffee's submission for the stream, by the way? I don't know, Mr. Coffee's awfully shy about submitting games to the stream. He's too modest. He's too modest to submit his good games, and he's too shy to submit his bad games. That's the problem. Alright. Asterbate playing white. The new Asterbate. Hyper modern master. What you need to do, Asterbate, is pay more attention to pawn play. You've mastered the pieces, now you master the pawns. I think we saw a little bit of that with Big Dummy's game as well. I can't explain Big Dummy's opponent's play, which was horrific. He just centralized his king and then lost, almost on purpose, but it should have been a draw. And now, for our next trick, knight d7. It's like a fancy move. It's not bad, okay? It's a normal King's Indian attack type of move. And Asterbate Sicilian, so it's the English. It's no longer an Imzo Larsen attack, it's an English. Asterbate does play. He does play the Sicilian with black, so it makes sense. He's shown an affinity for playing c4 and now e5. So it's the Sicilian versus the King's Indian attack. Traditional setup. Okay. Question is, how do we want to play this? What are our options? Do we want to break with d4? Do we want to play just like knight f3 and a hedgehog type formation with d3? Do we want to do a double fianchetto? Asterbate started doing this weird thing, and I need to get him to stop doing it. Asprey, where did you get this idea of knight c3? Okay, debatable, because it blocks the bishop, but it's its best square. c6. Why did you start doing this bishop d3 thing? It's a little bit weird, you know? Because honestly, black can play g6 and kind of just shut it down, first of all. Here he has the flexibility to develop how he wants. I mean, I think this kills your bishop. See, the only game where this position was reached, white played knight f3. But there are other possibilities. You can play d4. You can play knight f3, you know, trying to kind of provoke this. I think where this bishop is going to go, you know, depends on your pawns. But bishop d3 in front of the pawn is quite unusual. If black also can play d5 here, and now you're kind of wondering what that's going to do. You're going to bring it back here. But again, if black plays carefully, he can play against that bishop on d3. I don't think you should place it on d3. You should develop your other pieces. This is another possibility, doing a double fianchetto. What was that? What is that? Lock. Alright. Random guy. So bishop d3. Don't send random tournament announcements to people. Bishop e7, knight f3. Now black should develop with castles or d5. Maybe knight f8 is interesting. And I will show you an idea here, but I don't think it's good in this position. Sometimes, SRB, you can do this. I just want to show you this idea. If black, let's say, doesn't have enough protection because the knight just went away, went over here, what we can do is undermine his center with the move c5. But every position depends. Like, this can be good for white, it can be good for black, depending on the situation. But we gain a central pawn. And you got to be careful with your bishop and with your knight. For example, knight g6. We might have to take, recapture, and that opens up the H file here. I just want to show you the idea, you know, that sometimes c5 might be a good move because this pawn is hanging in that type of old Indian structure. Because he's taking his knight away from the center very early. But this is very bad what Asprey does here. I am not proud of this. He's playing like a noob. h4. You've been watching like bad videos on YouTube or something, man. This is very weird, and something I would do in like blitz chess when I was just horsing around. Yeah, h4 is not good. You might even want to have that pawn to go to h3 to keep control of the g4 square at some point. So objectively, I think you should play rook c1, get your bishop back to b1. You know, or alternatively, like, just admit you made a mistake. Another possibility is this, though. Maybe you can clear this bishop on b2. Get it out of the way. So here, d5, takes, and retreat it back. Both your bishops have clear avenues. I mean, oftentimes that's your worst piece, so getting it out of the way, not a bad idea. But this is really artificial, man. h4. Black plays h5. Right, and maybe he should play h6. I think here you can play queen c2 if you want to, controlling this square. Now your position might not be that bad. Okay, h5 now gives you a good square, counter. Knight g5, no particular threat, but your knight's secure. Your bishop's got squares available here. Just not a very useful move for black. You got the first game we saw with ABC GM, and his opponent in the Mora played f6. f3 is fine. f3 is not a bad move. You could also artificially castle with your king in f2. This is the pork chop formation, king on f2. Doug Brown, a master from New Jersey, was a friend of mine, and he used to play 1 f3, 2 king f2, 3 h4, and we called it the pork chop. Rip Doug Brown, I guess. But in honesty, like, you could play queen c2 here. There's nothing wrong with that. And ultimately put your bishop on like f5. If d5, like bishop f5, if you want to. Alright, f3. Yeah, I don't like giving up his bishop. If I were black, I would play bishop d7. He's giving you the bishop. You should consider taking it. Von Henning. Knight takes e6. Knight takes e6. Slight advantage to white, but you will have to watch this pawn. It might be a little safer not to play f3. Alright. Good move. This is your best move of the game so far. You gotta watch that h4 pawn, baby. He's hanging a piece. Not the best timing for black. So it's a good thing you didn't take his bishop right away. Now he just drops a piece. This is black's best move of the game. Going to d7 rather than f8. I don't know, man. Terrible. Terrible. Humiliating. Phew, this looks like a late night amateur game. Sladgie versus No Name. I'm surprised he didn't grab this. I'm surprised he didn't grab this and drop another piece to queen a4 check. And now you dropped a pawn. Oh my god. And now black's on the attack. Wow. Totally unnecessary sacrifice. Astrobit, let me ask you a question. What's the best move for white here? I guess right away, right? You don't need to do that. I mean, that's like overly fancy. You should play bishop g7 first. But he saw this in advance. So it's like a big trade, and he's up a piece in an endgame. Mate. Nice job. Alright, the opening is not your strong point, bro. Okay. Anonymous player versus me. Okay, I'm getting you confused with Big Dummy. Don't know why. So I've got a London system, a Smith-Morra, and a game by me. Anything else I don't want to analyze. These things are not forbidden, but they're just like frowned upon. No, but it's fine. Of the three, I'd rather have the game by me than a London system or a Smith-Morra. But at least if you're gonna submit a Smith-Morra London system, beat those openings. All right, so I'm white, playing against my own number one most common e4 e5 e4 c5 defense. It's okay. No, I don't mind it. It's just more fun to see like new games for me. So I struggle against this because I don't even know what to play, what I like the best. I like the Marazzi. It's probably the best option for white. No, this is probably the most interesting in the games of the four, to be honest, that we have so far. But I just want to say, I think the Marazzi is white's best. But I'm not always in a mood to play the Marazzi. It's a very technical kind of game where you're like, consolidating space, and honestly, I've made this comment like many times, but what a lot of people don't realize is that certain types of positions are better for fast time controls and certain are better for, longer time controls. And I think the Marazzi space type opening is best for, when you've got enough time. Sometimes being on the black side of spatial openings like that is actually easier for the defending side. Like white has the onus is on white to win. It's not the only way for white to play the Marazzi, obviously. I can play d4, pawn takes d4, knight takes d4, and then play c4 on the next move. There's two ways for white to enter into the Marazzi. Okay. So I played the main line of the hyper accelerated with queen takes d4. I have literally like dozens of games with black in this position. Although I still wouldn't consider myself an expert. Because I play it and then I kind of don't play it for a while and I come back to it and only move. Although Belen Lopez has played f6. I think that's a really bad move. Don't recommend that. Knight f6. And so there's three moves for white here. I just noticed there's someone who played queen a4 right away. I never considered that. Although I don't think there's any advantage in that move. Paul 1e4 said I stopped playing queen d4 because my queen got kicked around too much. Well, you have to know what you're doing, and yes, that is a possibility. I mean, it's kind of like basically white's playing the Scandinavian, but white has an extra move. And that extra move is a freaking very strong pawn in the center. It's like you got to play the Scandinavian and you got to play e5 and it's protected. I shouldn't really make that I know it's not exactly a Scandinavian, okay, but it's the same kind of principles that apply to the queen getting kicked around. White has to make sure the queen is safe. I mean, if you play the Scandinavian, the number one thing, I mean, I've never played it that much, but I would imagine if you're a player who plays the Scandinavian, the number one thing you got to be assured of is that your your queen is secure. So it's very important you play the Scandinavian. You play c6 early, so your queen has retreat squares. Now, white has a bunch of different moves. This isn't very good because of a6. Once Dimitri Schneider played this against me in a blitz game, I've rarely ever seen anyone play that. And that leaves us with the e5 variation, which I'm trying to think if I ever actually played this with white, and I did. I played it against Boros Danish once. Maybe e5 is better than objectively. Maybe e5 is better than knight c3. I don't know. It's either e5 or knight c3. Objectively, I think e5 is a little more aggressive. You still have to know what you're doing. But, you know, again, we've got more squares with the queen with this move. That's a major advantage for white. You know, the greater mobility for the queen. Astrobate, thanks to the gift sub for Paul 1E4. Knight C3 is the main line though. I played a lot with black. Now black played Knight C6, Queen A4, and now there is an alternative here for black. I seriously looked at this. It's not a very good move because of Knight D5, but I almost thought about playing it a couple of years ago. The only other move is Bishop G7, and then you allow E5 and have to retreat your knight back to G8. This is considered like dubious for black, but I'm not sure if it's that bad. But okay, main line D6, and now E5, and now you have a choice between like two different variations. Takes and knight to G4. Now I think takes is better. I think the statistics are pretty clear on that, but this is a move. The last time I played it, I like lost really badly against Marcel Martinez in the last round of Foxwoods like 15 years ago. He just knew the line perfectly and I got caught in some kind of trap. But I think knight G4 is sort of dubious. You know, we really have to take. And now white takes on E5. And then the question is, black has 3 different moves in this position. And I've played all 3, actually 4 different moves. So there's Bishop D7, no, 3 different moves. Bishop D7, Bishop G7, and Queen D4. Against Queen D4, there's an interesting move here, Knight C4, which was discovered a while ago. There's also the endgame where white is just slightly better. So this is pretty thankless. Sorry, knight takes C6. Queen takes A4. Knight takes A4. A thankless endgame where black has virtually no winning chances. This pawn sacrifice, which I played the last time, which is still slightly better for white, and then this move, which is the main move. So now the question is, after I take your bishop, which way should you capture? And I don't know which is better. Now, this makes more sense because you're developing. But knight takes is played. I mean, it's been played by a lot of good players. You see here, Geary, Perelstein. Perelstein's not that great of a player, but he's kind of an expert on this opening, because Roman taught us both. I don't know. Queen E7 is the main line. Now I played... Oh no, you took with the knight. Oh, okay. Yeah, you took with the knight. No, knight takes is interesting. Okay, Bishop E5. And now... I wonder about Queen C8. I'm trying to remember if I had this position. There's Queen C7 and Queen C8. Queen C7 obviously can get hit by Knight D5. But the main line is sacking the pawn like he did. I've analyzed both. Also the queen takes. And I took on C6 right away. It's not forced. As you can see, I can castle first. But it transposes. And after castles, no, I'm not obliged to take the pawn. Well, I knew that I was like transposing. I'm not going to be greedy, you know. I played this position for black. You can try to hang on to the pawn though. It looks like there's someone who played Queen B6. Lichess managed to draw, that's an old game. But there is an interesting move here. I don't know if my move order is better or not. So castles is the normal way, and then we would just transpose. So it looks like people play rook d1. I'm not really impressed by that. I think our main idea is to either win a pawn or damage your structure. Like, do whatever Geary did, knight b6. It's an old game though. Jovanovic won here with queen h4. B takes c, bishop g5, rook e8. Black's not really thrilled about this position. Rook f e1, knight d5, strong knight. White has no advantage according to the computer. So this is plausible. Okay, castles, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, castle, castle, queen takes c6. Anyway, you know, this is like the main continuation. And now rook c8. I don't really get knight b6, but whatever. I had a very similar game where my opponent put his queen on a3. It wasn't quite the same position though. Queen a4. You see, the problem is like you can't play this because of knight d5. And I don't like giving up this bishop on c3. I made this... I'll tell you what. The computer says it's okay. But if you play this position with black against the grandmaster, good luck. There's a lot of instances where I think black's going to lose this ending because the bishop's better than the knight. The computer can say it's equal all day, or close to equal. I want to see, you know, here you go, you know. Okay, Damjanovic Indic is a draw, but let's see, you know, 2300's playing out. It's a win for white. I don't think this is that easy. I really don't like giving up the bishop if I don't have to. But I didn't like my queen, you know, like a little bottled up on a4. So I decided to try queen f3. And surprisingly, this is a new move. Queen a6 is also good. It didn't occur to me. It's not a new move, okay. Queen b6. Yeah, you can have compensation even in the endgame. But I would rather you had your rooks like... I'd rather black had his rooks on this square and this square, like a Benko. Your rooks are like ideally placed. Another key idea is to maneuver your knight to c4. Think like Benko, positional compensation. So I went back here, and you did play knight e5, and you're going for knight c4. What now? You play queen c7. This is actually a good square for your queen. b7 is a good square for the queen. You could put the queen on a5, but then the e7 pawn is weak. This was a major problem for you. No, so I think this is probably a good move. For example, queen d7 gives you the ability to shift over here. It protects the a pawn. You keep e7 protected. I had an interesting game where one of the key variations, I ended up losing the game, but it had to do with like being able to play e6 to keep the knight off of d5 at some point later on. So if I play like rook d1, you go here. No, ultimately later you could meet well, I don't know. It's not that easy for white to find a move here. Basically. Now you're on the b2 pawn. So rook d1 is probably a mistake. So I felt like after queen e2, queen c7, I wanted to move my bishop now, while my b pawn wasn't attacked. And that's why I played bishop f4. I could also play bishop g5, but I didn't have really that much time to think about it. And as I said, like this bothers me a little bit. This taking control of d5. I mean, it's possible though I have some weaknesses around my king side. I don't really like that f6, you know, something coming in there. Although I am getting this pawn, which is probably more important. Check. Bishop takes f6. Queen takes c2, rook takes c2, bishop takes f6. Another endgame where good luck, buddy. White has to be careful not to lose this ending. I mean, 2 pawns on the queen side versus a bishop. This is kind of, even with the rook on the 7th rank, this is the kind of ending where the bishop could just be better than the knight. You have to be careful not to lose this. Against the GM, I would expect black loses sometimes. So I played bishop f4 here. This was a weird move, but understandable. Actually, I guess you don't have that many choices, because I'm threatening rook e1. I don't remember, you know, what my conclusion was when I analyzed this game afterwards. I looked at it from white's perspective, but keeping you pinned here was very useful. So it's hard to come up with a better move than queen c5. If you just go here, I play rook e1, and what are you going to do? You've got to play like f6, and it's a total disaster. Ensemble chess says queen c4. Aha. Wow, that changes everything. Queen c4. It doesn't work though, only right away. It only works right away. So, no, I mean, I think if you go back, you place your queen on the wrong square. It's very subtle. Queen e2, if queen d7, bishop f4, you go wherever you want. You know, now knight c4, and I'm in trouble. Notice how your queen kind of dominates my knight, and it's controlling like the white squares. And then you shift over, and there's no problem. Like here, here. You keep controlling like those white squares where the knight is going. You simply like put your queen on the wrong square. It looks like a totally natural square. It also interferes with the rook. You know, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to be able to do an exchange sacrifice, but theoretically, you know, like it's a possibility in some positions, I guess. The fact that this is unblocked. D7 is better. So Acerbate, thanks for gifting a sub. Queen c7, bishop f4, and now here, and then that. I mean, I wanted to get my rook off the long diagonal, and I didn't want to weaken f2. Well, I've experienced playing this with black. Type of position, anyway. Now, you can't let me... Well, actually, alright, you might be able to play knight here. I know that wasn't your plan, but this is definitely worth considering. If we keep this protected, you still have pressure here. And now you have the threat of knight d4. You know, I'm not at all certain that rook e1 was my best move. It was played in time pressure. Simul's always feel like time pressure. Even though you have less time, I feel like I don't have a lot of time. Yeah, damn. So that was it. You had to play knight c6, threatening knight d4. And so maybe my rook move is a mistake. It is. I lost my slight edge here by playing rook a e1. But I mean, I anticipated knight c4 and I was going to take on e7 and figured, okay, I'm up a pawn. I totally missed, we both missed knight c6. This holds. Because I'm tied down to this, and even this is kind of weak, and you've got the threat of knight to d4 in some positions. And now you're going to come over here with your other rook, and now what's my f1 rook doing? Why did I choose to put my a rook over? I didn't like it on the long diagonal with the bishop, and I think in the back of my mind I was going to play rook there, and primarily didn't like this, but I also thought, okay, f2 could maybe theoretically be some kind of issue, you know, so this is safer. Safer it may be, but I don't think that white has an advantage. So you blundered here with knight c4. Yeah. Retreating can be the best move. You know, knight c6 solves your problems better. It looks like you're just down a pawn, right? And I don't think this is like your main thing. I still don't want to take bishop takes c3. Only as like a last resort. If you could like put your g pawn back on g7, I would say bishop takes c3 was probably okay. You know? Like seriously, if you could do this, I don't know, let's just arbitrarily say like h3, bishop takes c3, b takes c. If you could unmove your bishop, your pawn on g6 back to g7, if that was like legal in this position, I would maybe accept an argument that the knight is okay against the bishop. But I mean, the thing is like this weakness here, it's significant, you know, it's very significant. There's possible h4, h5, bishop coming to h6. You know, if you play f6, then the white squares get a little bit weak. So it'll never be like completely safe for you. You know, even if you smash my pawns and get your pawn back, like this, let's say, in a practical game, I think white still may have the better chances. Although, you know, maybe it is a draw. I mean, I think you have to seriously consider that. If you had played knight c6, I think I was seriously considering knight d1. Because it keeps b2 protected. I'm not sure if it works, like knight d4, queen e7. It's unclear. But I don't want to lose my b2 pawn. I mean, I'd rather lose any other pawn, but if I lose the b2 pawn, then I'm left with Isolani, you know? So knight c4, knight d1, yeah. I'm going to lose that pawn here too. And I guess it's probably a draw. But you know, you don't want to end up in a situation where I have an a pawn and a bishop. So like this pawn we don't want to lose, the a7, if we can help it. This variation would probably be your worst choice, like rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Let's say maybe bishop d4 attacking f2, rook a4. But to be honest, even this is excellent drawing chances for black. My rook is in not the greatest position. Queen c2, queen a7, rook a8, queen e7, rook a2, and then rook e2. And I was pretty depressed here. I thought, okay, I have a little bit of better chances on the king side, but it's a draw. Queen b3. Your only problem is the weakness around the king, and I was trying to set up a mate, you know, with obviously queen f8. So queen b3 here, and now I'm threatening queen takes f8 check. So if you make an innocuous move, it's like boom, boom, check, bishop g7, and mate. This is the point. I'm basically down to cheapos now. But you have a weakness and I don't, and you're a little uncoordinated. So really only black can lose. I played rook e2. You played this. If you could trade pieces, maybe, this pin is a problem though. That ties you up for a moment and allows me to generate some sort of threat. Here I'm threatening queen f8. And I remember thinking during the game, like, I didn't like this move for you because it's almost like your rooks are like out of play. Like, what are you doing on the A file? You're not doing anything over there. You'd rather be like, you'd really rather keep your rook on f8. So why couldn't you play bishop g7 here? Oh, because you could. So bishop g7 is a draw. Now you cover your weaknesses and it's a draw. I'm not going to win after bishop g7. So this was a major blunder, giving me some tactical chances. Though it doesn't seem like it, I do have back rank threats. And bishop g7 would pretty much shut everything down. Here, h for like desperation. And I think in any kind of situation like this, you should consider h5. But I mean, honestly, this seems like the safest decision you could make, probably bishop g7. The problem was I could potentially sack my queen. Bishop h6, yeah. He has bishop g7, right? Doesn't work. Does he have something there? Bishop g7, queen e8 check. Bishop g7, queen e8 check, bishop f8. Bishop takes f8. What the hell is going on? It's a draw. Rook e2. Oh wow. No. Is it a draw? Check. No. Yeah, this is a draw. Bishop f8, rook e2. And you just have to take back. So it's a draw. Yeah, bishop h6 doesn't work. I needed to increase the amount of pieces I had involved, so h5. And then this is really reckless. I mean, you got to be careful here. So I think bishop g7, or maybe h5, because h5 gives you another retreat square. This doesn't really involve weakening your position that much. And you're placing your pawns on the right color. Am I going to have g4? I don't think so. Not in this position. h5 or bishop g7. This is just kind of sticking your bishop on an undefended square, which is risky. You do have some threats against f2, but it seemed unnecessary. Then h5, rook e2, and now it's like probably a draw, but it's a little bit scary. What's the best thing you can do here? You played check. I don't love it. And definitely not rook check, because you're leaving the back rank weak. But honestly, if I had no time in this position, I was black, I would seriously consider like taking on h5. I mean, yes, it's a little scary, but I'm not sure that white has anything. Maybe I do. Maybe I have queen g5 check. If bishop g7, I actually have this. Wow. Yeah, that's probably winning. There may be a trap though with f6. Damn. There is. f6. Does it even work though? Bishop takes f6. Check. King h2. Check. Bishop e5. And then queen g6. And then I avoid the exchange of queens, but you know, Ivanchuk would probably beat you somehow. I don't know. There's still chances. You don't really want to take on h5. Bishop g7 allows h6, which is scary. But you did something here which most people do, which is like kind of panic, you know, make a random check. But I thought your queen was like kind of badly placed here compared to b3. It's in an awkward position. You know, okay, you do have this, maybe later. But my rook's defended. So can you make a bishop move of some sort? You know, here's an interesting move, like bishop f6, oh, bishop f6, queen takes, bye-bye. Nice knowing you. No, queen e5 check, maybe it's bye-bye me. What's happening here? Holy crap. You know, it's good that I don't have any weaknesses, because actually in this position I can play here, check, and then f3. And maybe white's winning. Oh my god, yeah. You gotta sack your queen here and try to make a fortress. Queen e5, queen e5. Queen e5, queen e5, h5. Possible fortress. You can get an h5. But I have a break with f4, f5. You know, this is probably not a draw. You can't force a fortress in this position. If you play h5, I'll be able to do this break later on and crack your pawn structure. But anyway, so what happened in the game? Rook takes rook, queen d1 check, king h2, and you're still drawing. Bishop g7, h6 is what I expected. And you should hold on. But naturally it's a little scary about h6. Okay, instead you played queen a4. Defending e8. And then this bishop is just on prise, but you don't have anything concrete. And now you just like made the worst move on the board. This is like almost self-made. You misplace your bishop while at the same time taking away, you know, a square for your king. It's not clear I'm actually threatening anything, right? What does the computer say, like bishop c5 to come here? And then I would have played queen f6. But it's not so easy, like bishop f8, I wanted to checkmate you, but I can't. Or can I? Oh my god. That's like, this covers the a1 square. Maybe you even saw this, like check here and you're lost. Oh no, you're covered. I'm covered. There is no check there. Yeah, this is very tricky. So bishop c5, queen f6, now you have to do, like, I don't know, another alert move, queen d4. You shouldn't be lost though. Bishop f8 is really, bishop h8 is really bad. Now I'm better. Now it's tricky. You're almost playing like down a bishop. You have to be very accurate. And then I played bishop e5. And I was lost. I saw it, like as soon as I told you, like during the simul, I said, oh my god, I found a way to lose with rook e8. I pinned myself. I don't know, the best move was g4, but Didn't even consider that move. Now I'm lost on rook e8 in one move. That's so sick. Unbelievable. So you took, I took with the rook. I don't remember the end now. You got mated. Oh, you allowed the rook ending, right, okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a bad decision. But even this is a draw, probably. But you need time. Really, I told you during the game you had this, right? Rook a5, I thought. But maybe it doesn't work. Check, here, g4. This isn't so easy. Yeah, I don't know. You know, how easy is this rook ending? Rook f8, apparently. Rook f8. Rook g7 check, king h8. And then why can't I like, oh, stalemates? There's no stalemates. Why can't I just like move my king up or something? f3. Wow, rook f5, that's the point. Oh my god. So you can go to h5. Yeah, that's hard to see. That's really hard to see. I didn't see that. I thought you could go directly, but the problem with that is g4. Now you really do have problems. You cannot access the h6 pawn. Wow, that's tough to find. So you played this. This is horrible because it's like passive. And then check here and you're in big trouble. King g3. I don't know if it's winning, maybe not, but it's not easy to play for black. And I decided to exchange rooks. I thought I was winning here. Like, your king is in such a bad position. This was really, really dumb. And I played this move very quickly, too. Really quickly. How much time did I use? Almost instantly. I mean, clearly I have chances to win in this rook ending. Even if it's a draw, the pawn at h6 is a nightmare. But I just assumed this was a win. Unbelievable. Look at my king position. I mean, it's insane. I have this. It's insane. I'm like, I've got to have him in Zugzwang here. Why did I play g4? Oh, I guess over the board I realized you had g5. My plan was to play this. Then I hesitated because I saw you had g5. And I realized there's a problem. You're going to g6. So after king f7, another possibility would be you could go here. Then you can play e5. And you've got another square for your king. So it's insane. I mean, I'm like, I've got a great king position. I've got my pawns back with lots of waiting moves. And I just assume I'm winning, and I'm not winning. It's crazy. So g4 is the best move. King e7. It's just a draw. It's unbelievable. So I tried the only way I could think of, which was to do this and go after the, you know, this guy. So I managed to force a queen ending. This is forced. Very forced for both sides, and unfortunately, even though I'm up a pawn in a queen ending, which would normally be kind of a tricky one, oddly enough, my king just can't seem to find a place to hide. I guess this was a major blunder now with no time left. My only chance is g5. Check. I didn't think I could escape from the checks. Is there really any way to escape from checks here? Why is this not a dead draw? It is a dead draw. Yeah, interesting game. So, not like I missed the win or anything there. Good game. Alright, guys. Is there any other game? If not, that's it. Not a lot of games tonight. I don't know. Where's all of our friends and followers? They're not tuning in anymore. Anonymous player, thank you. Yeah, I forgot that was the opening. That's an interesting game. That's an interesting variation. But my problem is that, like, if you take that variation, if you play this variation for black, I literally have no idea here, like, which line is the best. I've tried everything. I've tried every variation. It seems like in every variation, white is just a little bit better. So this is like the safe way to play with white. If you really want to play for a win, I think e5 is more dangerous. You know, this is probably what I would play. Not there. For $1 million, e5, knight c6, queen a4, knight d5, and then, you know, knight g8 is also a variation here, but it's worse. So knight d5, and then there's two moves, queen b3 and queen e4. This is probably white's best practical try, although it's very, very complicated. Yeah. You took some liberties, Asterbate. Liberties? Anonymous player donated 100 bits. Thank you for that. What liberties did you take, sir? Asterbate, $30, bringing us to the $30 threshold for a trip to Sicily tonight. We've got 144 days to go. That's just approximate. I think that's till Halloween. So it's actually a little bit less. It's about 137 days to go till the World Senior, which is like October 24th. So 144 days to Halloween, 137 days till the World Senior in Sicily, where Sladgie tries to become a Grandmaster yet again. Alright, guys. That's it. Nobody else? I guess I'm going to close down the stream if we don't have any other games. It was nice knowing you. We'll see you on Friday for Fast Friday. Fast Friday. Freaky Friday. Freaking analysis. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for your anonymous moderation. No need for you today. We had a small group that was very well behaved. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with everybody at 11:30 CEST. Thanks, guys. Have a great night and take care. Bye-bye.